For the first time in a long time, I ate a meal without doing anything but eating. So that basically means I didn't watch YouTube or watch a movie, listen to an audiobook, or read. Those are the things I usually do while I eat. And today, that was different. And I felt like it helped save a lot of time. Normally, when I do the other things, it takes up about maybe an hour or 2 hours in a day since I only eat lunch and dinner. But today, I feel like both occurrences were less than 15 minutes. So probably less than 30 minutes overall in the day. So I'm going to test out a challenge. Basically, what I'm going to do is have 30 days of quiet meals where I just eat and that's it. Not going to be on my phone, not going to be watching anything, reading anything, just eating and thinking. I want to see if this makes a big difference in terms of number one, focus, number two, time, like I mentioned before, and number three, how much of a difference does being entertained or reading and all that stuff make in my day? Maybe it's actually better and it does help keep me sane and gives me some, like, a good amount of breaks between all the working and practicing and all that stuff. So we'll see. That's the whole point of this video, the whole point of this challenge, is to see how big of a difference having these quiet meals will be. So basically the rules are I can't do anything but eat, but at the same time, if it's a meal with, like, say someone else, obviously I'm not gonna ignore them. So that's an exception. Whenever I have meals with someone else, I will probably be engaged in conversation with them because that's the whole point of having a meal with other people. But other than that, when I'm eating by myself, I will just eat and think. All right, so we're gonna try this for 30 days, and today, what's today?
It's Tuesday, July 26th, 2022.
Okay, it's July 26th, which means we will be done August 26th and see how the results are from there. Although I do want to check in every week and see if there's any big differences between each checkpoint. But for now, let's go ahead and try this thing and see how it goes. Real quick, just because we usually do this. Hey Siri, what day is it today?
It's Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022.
Okay, so 1 week has passed since we started the Quiet Meals Challenge, and so far I've noticed a good amount of changes. Firstly, time, obviously. Since I don't do anything while eating, I eat a lot faster. I'm not like rushing it, it just so happens like when you don't eat while watching something, you just notice that you're done faster. Because I do think that usually what happens is I eat at a similar speed, but I'm slightly distracted by either being on my phone or like playing the press or playing like a different video on YouTube or something like that. So it does slow it down somewhat, but also when I'm done, I'm still watching, and that's usually what slows it down even more. So that's one big difference. So now my eating times are like around maybe 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even shorter sometimes, depending on how much I eat. And from there, I just do my thing. So I've definitely noticed a really high increase in focus, that's for sure. But I do, I don't know if it was just because like I did a lot of things last week. That's a huge variable in things, is like what I'm doing. Um, from day to day as well. But last week I did do a good amount of, um, I guess, physical labor. So I did feel tired over the weekend. So I don't know. That's probably completely unrelated to me watching things while eating or like the Quiet Meals Challenge, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty much mostly it so far. I do notice that I can taste things, or I notice taste more. And that is another big difference, I suppose. It's like certain things that I've been eating for a while, I sort of just like, I don't really think about it because I'm watching something or I'm like reading a book or something. So I'm distracted. And while I'm eating now, I'm not distracted at all. So I can actually think about the food, or taste the food a bit more. And I noticed there are things that I don't like as much as I thought I did, as well as just things I've been eating for a while that I now question why am I eating this? Uh, but it's not like that bad, or the difference isn't that huge so far. Most of the time when I'm eating, I think a lot, so it's just like my brain is constantly on. So that's another difference, I suppose, is that usually I get that break. Although I still am like occasionally after like a nap or something, I read, or before the nap I read, and then I also still watch some YouTube videos occasionally, not as much, but it's only been a week, so it maybe things will change. But for now, like it's more like that time that I do those things, I just do it during a different time. Um, but it's more so like one task at a time, and I do think that it still takes less time. Like I'm still spending less time watching and reading and stuff like that. Because I would normally do it while eating. So overall time is a net positive, like time I get back. Overall focus is definitely higher for sure. That's a big difference that I'm hoping will continue. Um, I definitely thought a lot more about just life in general and just like goals that I have and a whole bunch of things basically. But for now, this is good enough for a weekly update. Let's just see how things go for the next weeks. I think I should really try and focus on certain things. Time and focus, obviously, are two very important factors in this thing. So I'll think about those things mostly, but also effects on my brain, like if I feel differently as well. So, like, if I feel differently in my head, my brain, and just feel differently in general. So, those are the three things I try to keep track of for the next week. Just because my schedule personally is very like unpredictable sometimes. So it's hard to keep all the variables the same. So those four things would just be like I try not to let the other variables affect those four things basically. But let's see how this next week goes. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Test test. All right, it is the halfway point of this quiet meals challenge. And so far we've been doing pretty well. There's only been one meal that actually happened in the first week. I forgot to mention it. It was me accidentally playing Duolingo or practicing Japanese on Duolingo while eating. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. Like, it was still the first week, so it was day 4, I believe. It was a Friday, and I started on Tuesday, so right about day 4. And yeah, it was at lunch, and I didn't realize I was doing it. So that was the only fail so far. Otherwise, everything has been pretty good. Although yesterday, there is one occurrence that was questionable. So for this challenge, a question is, does it extend to snacking? For instance, if like yesterday I went to eat an apple and it's not exactly a meal, so does it extend to that? Can I watch things or read a book while eating an apple? And for me, I'm just gonna make it like a hard no for pretty much anything that I'm eating. So I decided that previously, but yesterday, what I accidentally did was I had my watch on, my Apple Watch, and I started to change some things on my Apple Watch while eating my apple. That's just a coincidence. And I was thinking while doing that, does this count as like breaking the rules? Um, because the watch is you could do a lot of things on the watch, and it's technically a device that is can be distracting as well. I ended up walkie-talkieing a friend and then talking to her, so that's sort of. I mean, phone calls I think are acceptable, although yeah, there's a lot of gray lines that I need to figure out for this challenge. I think phone calls are acceptable. The only reason I think that is because like having a conversation with someone during a meal is acceptable, but at the same time, it's still being on your phone. So that is something I'm not sure of. So far, that's not come up. So far, I've eaten a lot of meals with friends or family, and that obviously doesn't count as breaking the rules. Um, but for now, I'm just gonna leave phone calls while eating as a question mark. If it comes up, I'll decide whether or not it is breaking the rules. But so far, it hasn't. So okay. But yeah, snacking. Don't do anything while snacking. Not even play on the watch. So that's something I've decided for myself for the rest of this challenge. It is the halfway point, so there's only 15 days left. So so far it's not been too difficult. It's I've definitely grown accustomed to it. Like there might have been only just one or two nights where I felt like, oh, I would really love to watch a movie while eating this thing, eating dinner because mostly because I felt like tired and I didn't want to do anything else. And then the fact that I am eating these quiet meals and then afterwards I'm still focused and not distracted. I've also noticed that I tend to be more productive at night. So these past few nights especially is when I've been working on a lot of video stuff, editing stuff, freelance stuff, photo editing, all that stuff at night. And it's definitely taken me like I've been sleeping later around more like 1 a.m. versus before was where it's like 11 a.m. I'm still waking up around like 7, which is kind of weird. So I'm getting less hours of sleep, although I feel okay so right now. But it's this isn't the sleep challenge. This is the quiet meals challenge. But I do think that this is an effect of it. Is that I am more focused at night um, because I don't watch or read or anything at night to break the focus. I still continue to do stuff, which is good in a way. But at the same time, I have to sort of adapt to it and learn to stop at a certain point at night. Um, but arguably, I'd still be doing that stuff at night just because I want to get it done, and it is not necessarily for like for fun. These are paid projects that I'm working on too, so that is something to consider. And but another thing I wanted to mention was cooking. So this week I also had to cook a few meals for myself. Normally I would buy food that is already prepackaged, or I eat meals that are prepared from my grandma. Luckily, I still live pretty close to her, so thank you, grandma. But this week I did have to cook some meals for myself, and during the cooking, I was questioning whether or not I should also just make it a quiet cooking thing, I guess. And the answer is again yes, like no distractions at all during anything related to a meal or eating, basically. So I just made the food in silence and in my own head, I guess. It's not really silent because I think quite a lot. So that's another thing that came up for this challenge. And that's pretty much it so far. It's only been about 15 days, like I said. So not too many huge differences, I'd say. Like, for sure, I'm way more focused. That's like the biggest difference. And I do get more time back. But other than that, I really don't. I think I feel clearer. My head for sure feels clearer. Like, I can think more about, what I want to do in life and more like there's less breaks, less distractions for those questions and for the things that I'm like focused on. So whatever I'm focused on, like if it is answering that question of, oh, what's the next move? What should I be doing for the goals that I have? All that stuff, then of course those things are going to be like better off and I'm going to perform better. But if my thoughts are on like other things, like sometimes I just randomly have daydreams about random stories that I could potentially write about. Um, but right now in my life, that's not like what I'm trying to do. That can just be a bit more distracting, um, and just like for fun as well. So it really depends on like where my mind is at. So overall, it just sort of accentuates whatever you already are doing in terms of what you're focused on. Uh, So that's pretty much it. I don't think it has any like wildly different effects. Maybe after 30 days, I'll for sure feel even clearer. But for now, I don't think that at this moment, at the halfway mark, I feel like I don't necessarily need to keep going with this challenge after 30 days. But I should occasionally like just not do anything while eating. I think during weekdays, I I'd totally be cool with just not being distracted while eating. So quiet meals during weekdays, and then weekends I can do whatever I want basically. I think that's what the plan is right now. Like it's effective enough to the point where I do save enough time and I do gain enough focus that it makes somewhat of a difference, and I enjoy that difference. It isn't like huge though. So that's the thing that I'm saying right now, and that's pretty much it. I will stop at that because I've said that like 3 times now, and then I continue talking. So, okay, halfway mark. That is the update. I will actually ask Siri what day it is because that's just like conventional for these challenges for me. Hey Siri, what day is it today?
It's Thursday, August 11th, 2022.
There you go. Um, okay. See you guys in the next update. Hey Siri, what day is it today?
It's Saturday, August 27th, 2022.
All right, so this marks the end of the 30-day challenge that I started for myself last month in July. It was the Quiet Meals Challenge, 30 days of essentially having meals where I did nothing but eat. So no watching movies, no reading, no watching YouTube or anything like that, which is what I normally would do. And then this time around, I just ate, about 15 minutes was done, moved on with my day. I only ate twice, like I said before. This is basically the final video summarizing or giving my final thoughts on the whole challenge. We recorded one introduction, we recorded one sort of like half point, midpoint, and then week one. We didn't bother doing week three because like there wasn't much to say, and then this is the final one. So overall, like my performance was pretty good. I did some statistics, and out of the 60 meals, since I only eat lunch and dinner, there were 42 of them, I believe, 40 something, where I successfully did the Quiet Meals Challenge. And then there was a whole bunch of exceptions where I was eating dinner with someone else or eating lunch with someone else. So I didn't really count that, I guess, as fully doing the challenge. But it wasn't breaking the rules. I only broke the rules once throughout the entire challenge, and that was because that was on day 4, Friday, where I was just like eating. I was on Duolingo, and then I was eating, and then I just forgot that the challenge was a thing, and then from then on, I everything was good. Overall, I feel like this challenge has been very, very helpful in helping me gain like a higher level of focus, a more consistent level of focus. Since normally I'm pretty decent at like focusing things and not multitasking and not being distracted and whatnot, but like when it comes to meals like lunch and dinner, I always let myself like I consider a big break, so I let myself do whatever I want, which is sometimes very time consuming, especially when you're like reading and you just want to keep reading, or like watching a movie and the movie is pretty long. That is a lot of time saved when all you do is eat. And I will say, yesterday, because I finished the challenge, all 60 meals, I had a meal where I listened to some audiobook stuff, and then I got completely distracted by it after dinner was done. So that was like it's very easy to fall back into like the old habits. Like if I were to just say, okay, we're done with this challenge, let's go back to allowing myself to do whatever while I eat meals. I feel like that's very counterproductive, or not counterproductive, but just it makes the whole challenge nullified. Like there's no point in it. So what I'm going to do from here on is on weekdays, I'm going to stick to I'm not going to really call it a challenge anymore. It's basically a habit now. I'm just going to stick to quiet meals on weekdays, and then weekends, it's whatever's. I'll just, relax because it is pretty nice. Like, admittedly, last night when I was eating and listening to an audiobook, it was pretty relaxing and nice. But I think for me overall, I don't really need that. Uh, like, I know in the beginning I had a question of, oh, will my stress levels increase, or will this affect like me being more tired because maybe I'm not taking as many breaks? But honestly, I feel like less tired on more occasions than not, just because me being distracted by a book or a movie or something like that, it actually takes some mental energy to still be involved in that, and to still take the time to sit down, read, or sit down and even watch. That's still like time taken, and that's still you being engaged in something that's different from the other task that you were engaged in before. So oddly, I do feel like it like didn't make me more stressed at all. And if anything, it made me less stressed because I was like doing a little less um, overall things in the day, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's a big question I wanted to answer. And also, I'm gonna make like a super summary scripted version of this whole thing on my main channel. This is mainly for my archive. Um, just me, like I've decided that I would like to compile like all the videos where I talk about my thoughts candidly, completely unscripted, just whatever I want to talk about at the moment, and just upload it on this channel, which is, I guess, my personal channel, or just like my post anything I want channel. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I've scripted pretty much all the things that I wanted to say for the summary already, because basically there's no difference. Like, I feel like after you do this for about 2 to 3 weeks, um, like the fourth week felt exactly the same as the third week. Although I will say at the end, like I started to really like tired nights is when I felt the most like desire to break the challenge and be like, okay, yeah, I really feel like I much rather eat this meal with a m- movie on or something like that. And then whenever I had to watch, or whenever I wanted to watch something or read something, it had to be like off. Um, it had to be not at the same time as me eating the meal. So I still had to sometimes allocate some time for that, just because I wanted to read on for something. Although my reading and watching stuff significantly dropped in terms of, like, I'd say if I did it 1 to 2 hours each day, it dropped more than 50%, like maybe even like 80%. So it reduced it to maybe like 20 minutes per day, or even less than that, in terms of watching something or reading something. Um, so yeah, that's some random statistics that I didn't include in the summary video. But other than that, like there were too many other differences. Like, eating wise, yes, I could taste things more, but at a certain point, I just started thinking a lot and just eating the meal rather quickly. So to me, that's not that important. Um, Whenever I eat out with friends, that's different. Like, that's when I enjoy meals the most. And in terms of like cooking and all that other stuff too, I didn't do anything while doing that as well, or eating desserts, or eating in general. So whenever I'm by myself and eating, I made sure I wasn't doing anything other than that. Um, but most of the time, it's just me thinking while eating. Um, but yeah, that is the report for the whole thing. I feel like I'm really glad I did this, and now I can. It's like it's one of those habits that you don't really think about too much. Like, you take it as a given. Like, this is just what I do while I eat my meals and stuff like that. You wouldn't think to change it. So I feel like it's very lucky that I decided to start this challenge, and that it's super beneficial, because I do think in the long term, if I keep doing this, I will get more done than I would have if I didn't do this. So and I would be more focused and just feel better overall, perform better. Because I do think that distractions, um, even though like they're enjoyable, like watching a movie, stuff like that, they are just still distractions sometimes, depending on your lifestyle, I guess, um, and your goals. But for me, I have like a lot of goals and stuff I want to do. So like the more time I spend doing those things and less time on the distractions, the better. So, but of course, it's good to have a balance, and that's why I'm changing weekends to being like, go ahead and eat and watch a movie or something if you want to. Okay, I think I've talked enough. That is the end of this challenge. The next challenge is going to be phone related and alarm related. I'm probably going to try to upload them sort of not as a compilation at first. I'll compile it all at the end, but sort of more like a um, live type of thing. Like this is me in the challenge. This is how week one went, and then I'll upload it. I'll do it like no editing as much as possible because I already edit a lot for like work related things and freelance related things. So I'm like, if I want to make these videos, which I do, like I've been getting more into like, I've been feeling like I want to get back into YouTube more, but in a more organic way and or more like just do it for fun. So this is sort of the compromise I have to make if I want to do this is to either make really really simple fast edits or to just not edit at all. Um, and I'm probably gonna need to get better at making things more concise and interesting when I talk to the camera. But this is me sort of just starting out again. Um, I've actually never really done this too much, at least not like talk to the camera, no edits, and then upload it. I maybe done that once or twice and released it publicly. So we'll see how this goes. And this one's gonna probably be a compilation instead of a whole thing. So it's gonna be a me talking for like 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, that's enough. I hope you guys enjoyed my random thoughts. Yeah, if I think the summary video will be a lot better overall, but I'll see how things go moving forward. Peace.